All right, welcome to the Foundry. I thought I'd do a review on this new ice chest I just bought, but it's not just going to be an unboxing first impressions review. I want to do a review in real life, using it every day out in the hot summer heat. Now I've seen a lot of reviews, people fill them full of ice, put them in their air conditioning living room for 10 days and gauge how long, and that's all great. And I've seen guys fill them full of ice, put them out on the driveway, you know, for several days, open them 3 times a day to simulate real use. And that's great too, but I want to do a review with real actual use. So I'm going to take it with me. I'm going to be working in an oil refinery probably 2 or 3 days a week, and in the oil field a few days a week. And I'm going to use it around here, out in the shop. I just want to get a good real life review of actual ice retention, not just opening it three times a day, but like opening it when I need to. Like I'm going to be drinking a lot of fluids, water, Gatorade, and I'm going to take some food with me as well. And so what I ended up with was the RTIC, I think it's an Ultralight 52 or something like that. It's not a roto-molded ice chest, which is what I was going to get because those structurally are very, very tough ice chests. This one is injection molded, but the reason I went with it is because it is very well insulated and it has the same ice retention rating, at least by what I found, the same ice retention rating as a roto-molded cooler. But the reason I went with it is because it's quite a bit lighter than their other coolers. And I'm going to be shuttling this between 3 different trucks, and I don't want the thing to weigh 100 pounds. I mean, I'm going to have as much ice in it as I can get away with. There's going to be bottles of water, Gatorade type stuff, and food. And so I went with the lighter one, and we're going to see how it holds up because I'm not going to cut it any slack. Now I just bought this from the RTIC website. It was $200. They said it was on sale. I don't know what the rate. I know they used to be like $150, so they've gone up a little bit, but everything's going up, so that's to be expected. All right. Wrapped up pretty good. You know, the thing looks pretty darn strong. I mean, for this is what I'm used to, the vintage Coleman stuff. This thing looks pretty good. So yeah, for an injection molded ice chest, I'd say that's pretty substantial. I wouldn't be afraid to use this for a seat or even stand on it. I mean, it's really, I'm kind of surprised. I thought it was going to be a little more flimsy, and it's not all that heavy. I mean, it's heavier than a cheaper Coleman or a Igloo or whatever, but yeah, it's pretty slick. Good gasket. These feel pretty good. I don't think they're going to break real easy. All right, let's see if I can. You got divider, basket. Where are you going with that? It's pretty good. When they say this thing, yeah, this thing is full of gel. You can put it in the freezer, use it for an ice pack, or you could use that for a cutting board if you wanted to, I guess. 2 drains. All right, so let's talk about these 2 drains because I heard a couple guys online say that they didn't like the 2 drains because that's just an extra drain cap to leak or lose. And I specifically wanted 2 drains because this thing is going to be in the back of a truck or on a flatbed truck. And well, that's pretty cool. That's actually a metal cable. I don't think that's going to get lost easy. I mean, I'd have to tear it up, and we'll see if that actually happens. But the reason I wanted the 2 drain plugs is because when this is in the back of a truck, I'll face the lid to open toward the side of the truck so you can walk around and just open it and grab what you want. I'm also going to have it tied in and locked in the back of the truck so nobody can steal it. Now, when it's tied in and locked and it comes time to drain the water out of it, you're on a normal ice chest, you're limited to whichever side the drain plug is on. I like the drain plug to be toward the back of the truck so the water can run out the back. And you know, if you got a Yeti or something with 1 plug, you got to, depending on which side of the truck the chest is on, you've got to reposition. It's heavy, it's full of water, it's sloshing out, getting your shirt wet, whatever. With 2 drain plugs, it don't matter which side of the truck I've got this thing on, I can shoot the water out the back. So I wanted the 2 drains. We'll see how they hold up. But other than that, I mean, it looks like an ice chest. One thing I'm going to do is, they make these brackets that go in here, and they are designed to give you something to strap the ice chest to. You can hook your ratchet strap there, and like that's great if you're going to take one on a 4-wheeler ride or something, because you don't want to have to, you can run your straps across here, but then you've got to unstrap it every time you go to get a drink out of it. With these little brackets you can get, you don't have to, you can open it without unstrapping it, so that's cool. But the main reason I want to get the bracket is theft prevention. I'm going to run a cable through it with a padlock so nobody can steal it out of the truck. Now, RTIC on their website sells the bracket. It's like $8 or something, but it says it will not fit this model. It fits all their other models, well, most of the other models, but it won't fit this one. And the only thing I can think is because, see how thick that is right there? Most of them I think are only about that thick, and that doesn't give you enough room for their existing bracket to clamp a lock or run a cable through. So I looked everywhere online and I couldn't find anybody that sold a bracket for this particular ice chest, so I'm going to make one. Should be pretty easy. And I'll show you guys that when I make it. So initial unboxing impressions, you know, it's packaged well. It seems like a really stout cooler. It's better than most of the ones that I've got. So so far I'm pretty happy. There's really not anything to be unhappy about at this point. But we'll put some ice in it and I'll take it to work and we'll put it through the real paces, and it's going to get dirty. It's going to get bumped around. It's going to get filthy. It's going to be great. So you're going to get to see a real life test, not a living room test or a driveway test. All right, so the bracket turned out perfect. Now it fits right in here. So the ones you buy online, most of them anyway, everyone I've seen, the bracket comes down and curls out for you to hook your lock onto. Well, we decided to do it a little different because I was concerned that picking this handle up, you'd bust your knuckles on something hanging out there. So we bent it the other way because on this particular ice chest, you've got plenty of room behind it to clamp your lock on. That goes in like so. Lid closes, and there's no stealing it without destroying the ice chest. Because even if they manage, let's say you got it locked out here and they cut that lock, or maybe you don't have it locked out there, they open it up, they're not going to be able to pull this out with a padlock on it and a cable. So I think that worked out perfect. We also tapered it a little bit down here to make it just that much easier to drop in and out. It's 1 3/4 inch, 1.5 inches. Works great. And it's stainless, don't have to worry about rust. And you know, with aluminum, you'd have to get it pretty thick before it was particularly strong, so I think that'll work out just absolutely perfect. All right, while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and put our lock mechanism in. And I spiked it on the concrete just to show you how tough it is. I didn't accidentally drop it. Slide that right in so. All right. Sorry, doing it one-handed here. I'm gonna have to put the camera down, hang on. And she's locked. That other lock was a little cumbersome, so I just went with the standard master lock. Yeah, to the bed. It'll keep an honest man honest. That's all you can ask for. All right, first ice in the box. It's about 5:45 in the morning. This is May 16th. I got 2 7-pound bags and paid out the nose for them because the ice machine that does the bulk ice was out of service. But I'm going to put water on this side and Gatorade or whatever on that side, and probably put a bag on each side. We'll see how it goes. It's supposed to be 91 degrees today. So there's 14 pounds. And I also wanted to add that I did freeze that, so this has been frozen, and I'm going to put a little bit more in here, some water and some other things, and then I'll count how many times I get in it today. All right, it's 4 p.m. It's been in the sun all day. I have opened it about 4 or 5 times, and let's see what we got here. We still got a pretty good bit of ice water. It's still pretty darn cold. I don't know why those crackers are in there. They don't have to be cold. So it's currently about 90 degrees inside the refinery. They say on average it's about 6 degrees hotter than it is outside the refinery, so probably 96 degrees all day on 14 pounds of ice, and we still got good ice. That's not too bad. All right, how about an update? Let me tell you about what kind of ice I've been putting in it thus far. The 14-pound bag, or the 2 7-pound bags I put in there before, they lasted approximately a day and a half, 2 days out in the sun with me getting in and out of it, I don't know, maybe 10 times. So since then, I've gone up to 20-pound bags, and I'm getting almost 3 days out of it, and that's with me getting in and out of it, you know, 5-6 times a day at least, and it stays out in the sun just like it is now. And so the one thing I want to try is the bulk ice at the machine, and I think the machine's back up. And the cube quality is very important with ice. The clearer the cube, the more dense it is, the longer it lasts. If you get a real cloudy cube, it's got air bubbles in it, and they don't tend to last as long. I'm not sure what kind of ice is coming out of the machine I'm fixing to go to. I think it's probably just your standard cloudy stuff. So the bulk ice machine was in service. So I inspect these cubes, and they're not really cubes. What they are is broken, really fine, small pieces of ice. And so I don't know how long that's going to last. I get better luck out of dense cubes than I do these generally, but about 20 bottles of water in here, 4 bottles of Powerade. The water bottles were hot when I put them in. I did not freeze the divider. I've got some food in here, so I'm going to see if I can make this last until Monday night. And the high end is for the next 3 days is going to be in the low 90s. All right, it's Monday afternoon. I have only opened this thing once. I ended up not really needing it. over the weekend. I'm going in the morning. I wanted to check on the ice situation. Going to work in the morning. All right. Okay. We got ice on this side. This was the side I put the hot bottles on, and no ice over there, but the water's ice cold. So, I wouldn't recommend crushed ice. I don't know why the bulk ice doesn't discharge cubes, but I would see if you could find, you know, if possible, cubed ice. It always lasts longer, but it's been outside in the heat. It's low 90s, I think, and I'm fixing to set it back there, but you know, that's probably about as good as you're going to be able to expect out of crushed ice. So it's important to note that these cooler ratings, when you hear 5 days, 7 day, 10 day, they're talking about how long the ice lasts in a controlled environment, not opening the ice chest. So of course they're going to be able to get a pretty long life out of their ice compared to real world application, which is what I'm doing. So in the real world, you're going to be getting between 2 and 4 days out of cubed ice. That's been my experience in the temperatures that I've talked about. And that's me getting in and out of the thing up to 10 times a day. So that's real world experience. So rather than keep beating that dead horse, I'm going to try a new experiment, and that is block ice. Now, where do you get block ice? Well, I don't know, but I know how to make it. Get you some Tupperware containers, fill them full of water, put them in the freezer, walk away and forget about it. You need some ice later, you come back, you've got ice. Big blocks of ice. So I'm probably going to put about 15 pounds of block ice in the ice chest this time, and let's see how that holds up. All right, let me show you what I've done. There's a trick to getting that ice out of the Tupperware. It's real easy. You just let it set out for, I think I've let it set out here for right around 5 minutes now. So I'm leaving a little bit of the water in the bottom, because with block ice, there's really no way for the ice to surround the bottles. So I left some water in there, and this water it's cool to the touch. It's not cold. But I just take this thing and drop that sucker in there. I'm gonna put some on this side. Just drop that sucker in there, just like that. So I ended up putting about 15 pounds of block ice in there, and there was water already in there. And the reason I did that was because if you just put plain blocks in there, it takes a while before it gets your drinks cold, because they have to melt a little bit so that the water gets around the bottles and cools them down. I mean, they'll cool down a little bit. They just won't be like super cold, which is what I like when it's hot as heck out here. So I left a little water in there, and so naturally the blocks didn't last as long. I got about a day out of it, 15-pound blocks. You'd think I'd have gotten a lot longer than that, and I might do another experiment and just do straight blocks, no water inside, and I bet they'll last longer. So that's how the block deal went. So when I get done with these various ice experiments, the next thing I'll focus on is how the structure's holding up, because I've had it long enough, put some wear and tear on it to give you an idea of how this thing holds up. So here's an example of a typical cold lunch I would take to work during the summer. So this thing, it's not all that big, but honestly, I've been able to pack plenty of food in it, especially during the summer. I eat light for lunch because I'm out in the heat. So I got potato salad, and I could put more in there, but like I said, I eat light. Lettuce for my sandwich. I got grapes, and I keep my sandwich down here. Thick cut bologna and 2 slices of bread. And then of course I keep mayo and mustard in the ice chest. But I just put this thing in the cooler up there on that basket, and it keeps it chilled. Works out real good. Also does pretty good for hot lunches. So I've put casseroles in here. You've got a big compartment in the bottom. It also comes with these that fit in the bottom, and then this fits on top, and you can actually flip this thing over, and it's just a, well, I don't know if it fits in there flipped upside down. I don't think it does. But anyway, you get the point. So I've been using it 3 days a week for the last month or so, and it's held up really well, especially considering the unorthodox way. Let's say I take a hot lunch. I have kind of an unorthodox way to heat it when I'm out in the field or in a plant, and I'll show you what I do there. So just let me open the door to my Easy Bake Oven. I set my lunch right there. The engine's already warm. Engine bay is already very warm from my commute. So when I roll up to a job in the morning, put my lunch in there, shut the hood, walk away and forget about it. And over the course of the morning, you know, I'll crank and move this truck and drive this truck with it under there. It stays put. Then lunchtime rolls around, pop the hood, grab my lunch. It's nice and hot. Now, one thing I like about the injection molded coolers over the roto molded, like the Yetis and so forth, is the plastic on the inside is really slick. And where that helps you out is if you forget something in this ice chest, like we all do, or maybe a can gets busted open and you don't realize it, and it stays in there and festers and gets funky. So I had some stuff in this that got a little old, and I sprayed some 409 in here and sprayed it out, and it gets it clean and it doesn't smell anymore. So had a similar experience with a Yeti. And that roto molded plastic it's more coarse, so it has like deep pores in the plastic in certain places, not all over it. But when that funk gets in those pores, you can't hardly wash it out. I tried everything. It just finally had to wear out, you know, over the course of months or maybe a year. It took a long time, but you don't have to worry about that with a injection molded cooler. So I like that. All right, it's late May 2023, and we're at the 1 year mark thereabouts. And I just wanted to show you how this thing has held up. It has been out in the weather, out in the sun. I'd say, you know, at least 90% of the year. It's been primarily in the back of this truck during the winter. I had it in the back of that truck. But I'll show you a little bit about the abuse it's taken. Hadn't been just horrible abuse, but I hadn't cut it any slack. I've stood on this, sat on this, worked off of this, put tools on this. You can see from a whole year in the sun, there is a little bit of deterioration of the plastic, but it's very minimal. I don't think that really would hurt it, you know, too much over the duration of its lifespan. The latches have held up. They haven't broke. And they've been scuffed on, and you know, it's seen a lot of use. The inside is no worse for wear. It's still pretty much perfect as far as the hinge and the gasket. It's all still good. Basket's still good. The divider's not in here right now. I took the divider out about 4 or 5 months ago, so it was in here for better than half of the year, and it's not hurt at all. I just didn't really need it, so that's why I took it out. But so structurally, the only complaint I have, this little mechanism here. Now there's two sizes. This is the small side, the small end. Let's just dig this thing out of here. This one's a little bigger, and I think you might actually be able to get you a fitting to put a water hose in there if you wanted to drain it remotely or wash it out somehow or another. I don't know why that would be necessary. This is a bigger plug for the drain, and this is a smaller plug. Now, as you can see, that wire that's designed to hold this plug on, it's prone to come off, and that's because when you go to twist it, the cable gets wrapped up around it. It's kind of awkward. This cable is kind of awkward. Now I can see why they used it, because it's obviously more durable. Every one I've ever had with just a plastic loop, plastic breaks off, you lose the cap, you know. So I mean, I can see the intention behind it was good, because this won't break, but you have to be very careful that this slides in that groove while you twist. What it tends to do is your finger catches it and it gets wadded up, and then the thing pops off like I did. And I thought I lost this cap the other day. I took it off to drain the water, and since it wasn't in the loop, you know, I can easily pop it back in the loop, but I was in a hurry, so I just set the cap over to the side and forgot about it. And I drove 200 miles, and thankfully it didn't blow out of the back of the truck. It was still sitting there, so I just put it back on. But that's really the only complaint. If they could find a way to make this stay on the cap a little easier and spin in there easier, this would be perfect. So the handles have held up good. The ropes aren't worn at all, and I've snagged them on stuff and toted this thing around, and no wear on the rope. And so yeah, overall that's what it looks like after almost exactly 1 year of almost daily use and 1 year of being out in the sun and the elements. So if you've made it this far in this obscenely long review video, you're a trooper. And I apologize for the bad camera and audio equipment, especially early on. This video has been a year in the making. I didn't have good stuff back then. My final thoughts on this purchase: $200 with the amount of wear and tear that's on it 1 year in. And that's not occasional use like most people use coolers. It's not just when I go to the lake or whatever. This is using this thing day in and day out for a year. So, you know, with the amount of wear that's on it over the course of 1 year, the way I'm using it, I don't see why I couldn't get 5 years out of it. And I don't think that's too bad for a $200 cooler. So as far as ice retention goes, 16 to 20 pound bagged ice that's a mixture of cubes and crushed ice, you're gonna get about 3 days out of it. And that's temperatures well into the 90s, sometimes over 100 degrees. If it's cooler outside, you'll get 4 or 5 days out of it. And you're gonna be hard pressed to fit more than 20 pounds in it and still have room for your drinks and your basket and food and that sort of thing. So 20 pounds, 3 days when it's 100 degrees outside, that's about what you can expect out of this. And this thing here for the lunchbox, I don't know how much this cost. I want to say it was around like 14 bucks or something. I bought it with the cooler. I thought it was kind of expensive for a piece of Tupperware type material, honestly, but I'll tell you, it's been well worth it. I have eaten lunch out of this little box no less than 3 days a week, every single week without fail for the last year, and this thing is still in, it still works perfect. The gasket seals perfect, it doesn't leak, and I'd say this was a good purchase as well. Ultimately, it's going to be up to you which cooler you go with. I can say that I do not regret my purchase a year in, and hopefully my ramblings have provided you with enough information where you can make an informed decision when you go to buy one. And with that, I'll wrap it up. If you got anything out of this, be sure to smash the like button for me, and I'll see you in the next one.